the NVIDIA Corp has actually been on our professional traders watch list for quite a few years now. What's nice about NVIDIA is that there is just a great amount of liquidity on it. It's gotten so much interest over the years as being a premier graphics card manufacturer, and their stock is through the roof. And it definitely got a pump from these graphics card crypto miners, right? Because those crypto miners, they need a whole bunch of graphics cards in order to mine their crypto. And so they go and they buy these chips off the rack as fast as they can be put on there oftentimes. I don't know how popular that is these days, but about 4 or 5 years ago, that was like the thing to do. And so it really, some of the push up in price for NVIDIA was attributed to that. So let's look at NVIDIA from the present perspective. In fact, let's take a look at NVIDIA using that retracement or reversal kind of study that we just did on Wendy's. So I'm going to do the same thing. I went to a line on close chart and to identify here where we've got some crossings of the 3 and 5 day EMA, which is what we use a lot of times for our signals. So again, these are just little 1-day tests. The actual crossing comes here. I would even consider this move here, since it's so shallow, a test. The real crossing from top came here, maybe comes here. And you could keep going back as far as you want. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to identify what my lowest low is. So like, for instance, there's one here, and then my highest high. And these are the closing prices, lowest low, highest high, and then so on and so forth. And then you can look at your retracement. So if I connect this line here, and then this line here, and then this line here, we were in a downtrend, but check this out. This is where one of those cases, like with the broad market, NVIDIA is giving us a signal. If I connect, let me go ahead and make it so that my software here connects me automatically or snaps to those prices. If I click here to here, you can see with these current closing price that I've already not only gone past that 100% line right here. That tells me that, hey, NVIDIA is done doing the downtrend, but I've already topped with yesterday's close. I've topped this 279.74. In fact, yesterday's close came in at 281.50. So that tells me that, hey, NVIDIA is ready to start trending up again. Now, I always worry about the first, range expansion and range contraction in a new trend direction. That is the most fragile. But if we see a little bit of a pullback to the center zone here, somewhere between 246 to 225, and then a move up again, man, NVIDIA is set to kind of, retake its bullish movements. With all that said, in the meantime, while I'm waiting for something like that to happen, in other words, I want to wait and see a pullback and then another race for the ceiling. While I'm waiting to prove to me that it truly is in an uptrend, what I could be thinking about is selling premium against this thing. In other words, NVIDIA has already established that it's on a move now. So it's a little bit late for me to buy any more of this stock. But assuming that NVIDIA is on its next ride, I'd be watching NVIDIA for a pullback. And once that pullback is done and it's starting to head up as close as I can between finding that sweet spot behind, am I at a bottom and am I on my way back up versus am I at a bottom that may be a false bottom and it has a little bit more to go. So that's where we use our lagging indicators. This would be my buy signal. So I would be thinking about either buying NVIDIA stock or I would think about buying some substitute options. So if I'm buying the stock, I'm okay with that, especially if I happen to be holding the stock when dividends are out there. But I could also find, like we said, NVIDIA has a lot of liquidity in the options chain. I could find a cheaper substitute option, find an option probably close to trading at parity or trading at parity that'll act like NVIDIA, move dollar for dollar with NVIDIA, but cost a lot less. Still, I want to analyze now if I'm using that substitute option, there's going to be leverage in that option. So I want to make sure I always plan in advance what my max loss could be, set some sort of strategy, whether it be a conditional trade or a stop loss trade or even a protective option. I'd probably go with the stop loss at first in order and calculate what my max loss, max risk is and adjust my position size accordingly. I don't want to overextend in this. Allow NVIDIA to run as far as it wants to. And when NVIDIA tires and starts to test again, or if it doesn't even get that far, if it tires without proving that it's in a trend, that's when I can start selling my premium and buying my protection and start that cycle of collecting incomes. So I'd watch NVIDIA. I don't think you want to short NVIDIA right now, even though it looks like it might be forming a top. I would hold off on shorting NVIDIA or buying a back month deep in the money put. I would actually wait for NVIDIA to pull back, see where it pulls back. And if it pulls back above about $215, if it pulls back and starts going up above 215, that would be my buy signal. Now, as Sip mentioned when we were talking about Wendy's, Wendy's is inexpensive. NVIDIA is not inexpensive. NVIDIA is expensive. If you're going to be doing options trading on this, realize everything is in lots of 100. That means if you buy 100 shares of stock at $240, that's $24,000 that you need to come up with for the minimum purchase. If you buy a leveraged option, you'll pay less than that. You could pay probably for nice option trading at parity, probably half or maybe a third of the price, but that's still $8,000. And you don't want that to be the only trade in your portfolio. Again, you want to size your positions accordingly based on the risk that you might take on. And you'll be taking on much more risk if you leverage NVIDIA with a call option. So size your positions appropriately. But I could foresee just looking at a typical stop loss order, I would put on a $240. Maybe I'd put my stop loss at 210. And so just pulling up my calculator just very quickly, I'd be opening myself up to probably a $30 loss per share if the position completely went against me. So $30 loss on a $240 investment. Let's see, my calc coming up. I can't do this math in my head anymore. I'm getting old. So a $30 loss on a $240 investment is about a 12.5% loss. Me personally, I don't like to open my position, my portfolio to any more than about a 2% loss. So if you think about that, 2% loss divided by 12.5% loss, I should only use 16% of my portfolio. So again, coming back to just the math, if this minimum portfolio size is $24,000 and I want that to be only 16% of my portfolio, I'm going to be needing a portfolio that's 150 grand. So This NVIDIA trade is for somebody who's got a bigger portfolio. It really is, and I'd be really worried. I've been working with a couple of people now who have overextended themselves into just a few positions. Make sure if you're going to be doing any sort of investing that you analyze before you get in there. You want to plan your trade, and so plan your trade means understand where is your bailout? Where will you get out of this trade and just take the knocks on the head? Understand what that max loss is, and then compare that to your portfolio of how much of your portfolio you think it's worth losing in any one given trade, and make sure you size your position accordingly so that if that position bombs out, you're not, losing half of your portfolio. Like I said, for me, I like to keep my portfolio losses on any one trade less than 2%. That means I'd have to bomb out on 50 frickin' trades in a row to go broke. And I know that if I've bombed out on 3 trades in a row, I need to take a break because my trading is off.